and welcome to Youth Football Scotland TV. I'm your host, Adam Binnie, and today we are joined by none other than Dave MacKinnon. How are we doing, Dave?
Doing okay, a bit harassed, Adam, but that's the nature of the beast now for Scottish football. So everything changes by the minute, as you know.
And for those that don't know, Dave played for Arsenal, Dundee, Partick Thistle, Rangers, Airdrie, Kilmarnock and Forfar over his 20-year-long career. But he has now more recently moved upstairs and is the Chief Executive Officer of Kilmarnock Football Club. So Dave, you've had a very long career in football, both on the field and off the field. So is football always a part of your life, and how is it that you got involved with the sport?
Well, it always was, and I think, I grew up in an era where you went out and played football every night. Every time that you finished from school, you were in the school playground, hitting off walls at angles, trying to get your touch. So, every one of my era was consumed by football. So I think from a very, very early age, I thought I was getting the hang of it. And from a very early age, I wanted to make a career out of it. And I went through a few ups and downs, but it was really something that I've got an inner determination to succeed. And I think, in football, you really need that, because you get a lot of knocks in football. So if you're not able to pick yourself up and believe in yourself, then it becomes difficult. But football was always great to me. I started with the boys' brigade in the school. You played for the boys' brigade in the morning, the school in the afternoon, then your boys' club and all this kind of thing. So you actually played probably 4 games a weekend. Now, in the Project Brave days, when everyone's a wee bit wrapped in cotton wool, that would be frowned upon.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you were playing 4 games a week. You were playing for your school, boys' brigade, boys' club, etc. So how quickly were you picked up by a professional club?
Well, I played for a team called Glasgow United. It was an amateur run very, very well. And in those days, unlike just now, you couldn't sign for a professional club till you were 15. You could go in a boys or a schoolboy form at 14, but I started playing with Glasgow United, and used to be scouts every game. There was a lot of players in that team who went senior. There was a lot of players within the league. Alec McLeish, Willie Miller, Eddie Kelly, Tony Fitzpatrick, numerous players who had good careers. They were all playing in this league, so there was a lot of activity around there. I was fortunate enough when I was 14 to be asked to probably 10 to 12 English clubs. Chelsea, Man United, Spurs, Arsenal, Sheffield United. And there was only one Scottish club that was interested in me, and that was St Johnstone. And I actually went as a 15-year-old to play in a game against St Johnstone's first team, and get kicked up and down the park. But that was a great experience. And then, I decided that the offers I had on the table, Arsenal was a club that I wanted to sign for, and I signed for them just after my 16th birthday. I went down and spent 4 very, very good years there.
So you mentioned that you were playing for Glasgow United as an amateur. You obviously grew up in Glasgow and the surrounding area, but then you moved to Arsenal aged 16. So how tough was this to move away from home at such an early age? Do you think this shaped your career?
Well, you had to grow up very quickly, and I think the thing is that whilst there was some Scottish players in the senior team who really looked after me, Eddie Kelly, Peter Marinello was there, Frank McClintock, George Graham was there, so it's a long, long time ago.
Before my time.
Yeah, absolutely. And they really looked after you. But there was a lot of obviously English players. There was a lot of Irish players at that time, and in the youth team that I played for, they said it was a golden era, because I think there was, out of probably the 14 or 15 squad that was in the youth team, I think all of them played from a senior career. So that was exceptional. There was guys, like I roomed with Liam Brady, who's a famous player, Frank Stapleton, you know, a guy called Trevor Ross, you know, David O'Leary, Graham Ricks. So there was lots of players that went on to have really good careers, and the Arsenal youth team at that side, you know, were renowned in England to be one of the best. And we actually went to tournaments abroad, you know, as a club side, playing against international sides, and used to win tournaments because, to be honest, we were that good at that time. And it was great, and it was a great education for me. It was difficult being away from home. You know, I get homesick several times. London's a big place, a big lonely place. But that shaped me in my career because I had a wonderful education at Arsenal about how to understand the game, how to play the game, and also how to conduct yourself. And I think that was most important, and also have a desire to succeed. So that was important for me at that age to actually, you know, establish what I wanted to do in the game.
So where would it you would have moved to? Would it been digs, or did your parents move down with you, or you'd be just completely left on your own?
Not in those days. I got a train ticket, and packed a case, and got on a train at Glasgow Central, and got to Euston, and had to make my way across London to North London to digs, where I shared with Liam Brady and Frank Stapleton. So, you know, that would never happen now. You'd be chaperoned. The clubs would take your parents down and buy them a house. But you had to go on with yourself. And you know, that was something that I think gave myself and my teammates that made the grade in football a great grounding, and, you know, an understanding that, you know, you were on your own at times. And you had to succeed. So that was my introduction to life in London. And as I say, it was quite an eye-opener and quite an education.
And being a youth player, nowadays youth players do get quite a lot of exposure to the first team in terms of training and stuff. Back in those days, was it different? Were you always exposed to the first team, or you kind of left on your own a bit?
No, I think the thing is, what Arsenal did very early on was ensure that the youth players felt part of the team. They weren't isolated. They trained with the first team. They trained with the reserves. Once a week there was a game, you know, where you played against the first team. The youth side would play against the first team, and then when I get into the reserves would play against the first team. So you were very much part of it, because what they wanted to do was they wanted, as early as possible, they believed that, you know, the players that we had, a lot of them would play for Arsenal and play for other teams. So they very quickly wanted to educate you on how to play and how to conduct yourself. And, you know, we would go, for example, there was only one sub in those days, and, you know, 2 or 3 years would go with the first team for all games. You know, lay out the kit, go out onto the pitch and doing the warm-ups and all that kind of thing. So it was a great education. And, you know, I remember, you know, going to Chelsea, who were, you know, rivals of Arsenal, obviously, in London. And I think there was 60,000 there at Stamford Bridge, and I was on the park probably 16 and a half, just about 17, with 3 other, you know, youth players helping the first team and doing the warm-up. Now, that kind of thing educates you, because when you eventually play in front of a big crowd yourself, you're not scared of it. So these are the kind of things, the psychological things. And I think that, you know, in Scottish football, I don't think we do enough of that to educate being a professional, because once you make that step up, it's a quantum leap. But at Arsenal, it was great because it was almost a transition.
And then after your time at Arsenal, you then returned to Scotland to play for Dundee. Was this always an ambition of yours to come back up the road?
No, it was a strange situation. I had played for Arsenal in the pre-season tournament and done very well, and Dundee asked me to come up on loan. So I came up on loan, and they offered me a contract behind closed doors, if you like. And I had a 3-year contract at Arsenal. And I was 20 years of age in a 3-year contract, and I thought, I don't know, you know, I was in the fringe of the first team. I'd been playing in testimonial games and friendly games for the first team. I'd played in pre-season tournaments for the first team, so I was part of the squad. And I remember there was only one, you know, sub, so it was difficult to make your way into it. But I knew that I was making the leap to go into the first team. But I think that there was no agents in those days. I was almost like coerced to sign. The manager at Arsenal said to me, "Look, you've got a contract here, you know, but it's entirely up to you." So Dundee offered me first team football straight in, and I went to Dundee and they get relegated straight away. So
was that your fault?
Sorry,
was that your fault?
Well, it could have been now, but it was as soon as I made the decision. You know, I respect Dundee as a football club. They had some wonderful players at the time. Their fans are incredible. I was the chief executive of Dundee as well, so I know how supportive the fans are. They're great fans, but I made a mistake at an early age coming back to Scotland. I should have stayed in England, and I had offers to stay in England if I was going to leave Arsenal. But as I say, I had every intention of staying at Arsenal, but I was offered something to come back to Scotland as far as like financially, and I decided that was the way I wanted to go. But as I say, at the time, when you look back in your career, you look at mistakes you've made, but you also look at the positives. So, you know, there's a lot of things came out of the Dundee move that would never have happened if I hadn't made that. So I always balance negatives with positives. So, you know, I'm here now, and that's the most positive thing.
So you mentioned by moving to Dundee, you got full first team opportunities. How different was it playing in the first team at Dundee as compared with maybe on the fringes of the Arsenal squad? Was it completely different?
It was completely different. It was a significant drop in my wages, to be honest. But you know, signing on fees were big in those days. But the thing I noticed was I'd started at Arsenal as a midfield player, then went back to right back, and basically I was the understudy for Pat Rice, brilliant player. And one of the things at Arsenal was that the senior players at the club really looked after you, and Pat Rice used to take me in the afternoon for coaching, believe it or not. Used to take me out and say, "This is what you should be doing, this is it," you know, and this is, you know, taught me a great thing which came back in my career. You know, he was playing against guys like George Best, and he said that there's a lot of players, when you're playing at right back, they move their body, they don't move the ball. So I'll give you my biggest tip: keep your eye on the ball. And that was great in the rest of my career, because that's what I did, and I was educated well. But you know, when I came back to Dundee, it was slightly different. The club, you know, were going through a bit of a turmoil. They changed managers, but there was some great players there, and I still have a great respect for them, and I still obviously speak to them many years later. Gordon Strachan was a player in the team with me, and you know, great teammate, one of the funniest guys I've met in my life. A great teammate, and you know, I wasn't surprised that he went on to have a great career and a great management career, because he was a thinker about the game and he was hugely passionate. So I could see that early from him, and you know, he was my teammate, and new manager came in and didn't like the two of us for some reason. And he was transferred to Aberdeen and I was transferred to Partick Thistle. But that happens in football. So we still keep in touch when we see each other. We talk about those days, because we're both changed people from those days. You know?
So you mentioned there that you moved on to Partick Thistle in 1978. Would I be right in saying that would have been a step up? Would they have been playing in a higher division?
Yeah, they were in the Premier League. Yeah. And I was Partick Thistle's second record signing at 18.5 grand. So it shows you how things. And it was Bertie Auld was the manager. Oh, yeah. Tommy Gemmell was the manager of Dundee. So two Lisbon Lions. So I've got a photograph of me in the middle of Bertie Auld and Tommy Gemmell signing the contract for Partick Thistle. So that was a big thing for me, and it was straight into the Premier League. I'd bet he'd sign me as a midfield player, but very quickly he realised there was a better right back than a midfield player, and he put me there, and I had 4 wonderful years there. It was the best dressing room that I've ever been in my life. It was a crazy gang, like Wimbledon before the crazy gang came. You used to go into training, and you know, your shoes were like, you know, 6-inch nails to the floor. Your clothes were in the you know, in the bath, all this kind of stuff. But you know, wonderful. And we actually, Partick Thistle at that time had some magnificent players. Colin McAdam, who went on to play for Rangers, Mo Johnson, who went on to play for Rangers and Celtic. You know, lots of really, really good players that played for Partick Thistle at that time. Alan Rough, of course, in goals. Brian Whittaker, who went on to play at Celtic. And there was all these kind of players. Jim Melrose had a great career in England. But we were actually up there challenging at the top of the league. The Premier League at that time had only 10 teams, and 2 got relegated. So Partick Thistle were up there in 4th and 5th place, trying to get into Europe, and you know, wonderful atmosphere within the club, and great players and great memories.
So you mentioned that it was almost like the crazy gang before the Wimbledon days. Who would have been the main culprits for producing the pranks or causing havoc in the dressing room?
Well, Alan Rough, what you see about Alan Rough now is what you get. He's a lovely, sincere guy, and he's crazy, but he's absolutely crazy. And he used to do some of the things, you know, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I remember we were playing Celtic at Firhill, and there was 20-odd thousand there, and it was torrential rain, and there was a guy, Brian Whittaker, who's sadly no longer with us. He died in a car crash. A lovely, lovely guy. He played left back, I played right back, and Brian had a great tradition, as he wore before every game leopard skin underpants. And that was his pride and joy. And what he did was he used to prance around the dressing room doing stretches and then hang them up in his hook. So Ruffy's there, and Ruffy says, "That's it, I'm going to get this guy." So Ruffy took off his slips and put on Brian's leopard skin underpants and was diving about, and we were beating Celtic 1-0. I mean, and we were magnificent, to be honest. Beat Celtic 1-0, and Ruffy's making top class saves. I'm clearing off the line. Brian Whittaker's clearing off the line. 20 minutes to go, and we're absolutely black, you know, with the mud and, you know, the water and all that. And there's a corner and somebody's injured, and you know, the TV cameras are there, but I don't think it picked up. But Ruffy pulled down his shorts to reveal the leopard skin underpants, and Brian Whittaker went at him and tried to pull them off him. So the two of them
during
are
the game?
The game, aye, during the game. They're rolling about in the mud. And, you know, Brian tried to get the leopard skin underpants off Ruffy. So I had to go and separate it. And I'm thinking to myself, we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go. We should be thinking about the game. But that was the reality of the situation. It was crazy. And then Brian, when he went in, that was out of order. Ruffy, get it off. You know, had been for a curry the night before, so they weren't in the best state, these underpants. But Brian got them, put them under the shower, got a hairdryer and started drying them, and put them on, and straight up the dancing as he used to do on a Saturday night. So magnificent memories of my teammates there.
And then one of your biggest achievements whilst being at Partick Thistle must have been when you received a call up to the Scottish League 11 team. Could you explain what the Scottish League 11 team would have been for younger viewers who might not know what that is?
Yes, it was the Scottish League 11, and what it was a good idea, because what happened was, you know, there was a lot of good players out with the old firm and out with the English players, because this is one thing that your younger listeners won't, or viewers won't remember. Scotland had a magnificent team in the 70s and 80s, and there was, you know, household names from England, you know, Graham Souness, Alan Hansen, Kenny Dalglish, George Burley, Warkie. So there was incredible players, and in Scotland you had Rangers and Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, lots of really good players. So as I said, I'd been put back to right back, and I looked at the players, the right backs that were in the Scotland setup, and there's no chance of me. Danny McGrain, Brownlee, Sandy Jardine, there was probably another 3 or 4 players that, you know, were in the Scotland setup. So I was about fifth. I was playing very well, and I was playing well in my career, and I was developing as a player. And you know, there was the manager was telling me that I was getting a chance with Scotland. I thought there's never a chance unless all these players are injured. And what happened was they played a double header against Airdrie in Northern Ireland. So they were, and what happened was Rangers and Celtic players decided that they didn't want to go because of the political troubles and the troubles in Ireland at that time. So a lot of these players pulled out, and obviously the English players weren't in because it was a Scottish league. So it allowed the players that were on the fringes of Scotland, some great players. Andy Ritchie, probably one of the best uncapped players ever. Jim Melrose. So players like that were played in the Scotland. So I get the call, and I played against Northern Ireland. We beat them 5-3, and it was a wonderful experience. Jock Stein was the manager, and he said to me, "Stick in, you might get a chance." I said, "Well, there would need to be a lot of leg breaks." So that was great. So I got an international cap in the Scottish League, but then something changed in my career, and really it put me back. About a year or so, I started to feel a bit tired after that game, and I went through the season, and I was feeling terrible, and I had no energy, and I thought, what's happening here? There's something wrong with me. I've gone for tests, and they couldn't determine what it was. I came back for pre-season training, did the pre-season training, but I felt worse. I was playing against Rangers at Ibrox for Partick Thistle, first league game of the season. Went to the toilet half-time, and there was blood, and I thought, this isn't right. So I went for further tests, and they discovered a tuberculosis in my kidney. So I had to get my kidney removed. And that was, 22, I think 22, 23. That was pretty traumatic, just starting to get, in the ascendancy. I was told, I was in the hospital when Scott Sporting was on a Saturday night, with the games. And I'm in my room, and Partick Thistle fullback career's over tonight after the removal of a kidney. And I thought, that'll be right. So the surgeon came in next day, Bertie Auld came in the next day, and they gave me the encouragement to say, you can come back. So I battled to come back. And that was I think it was the October by the time I get the kidney out, and I came back and played in the Scottish Cup for Partick Thistle in January. And that determination, and also thinking about my game, because believe it or not, those people are old enough to see me as a Rangers player in particular. I used to kick my granny, and I would kick everything that moved. But that only came when I played. Before that traumatic time, getting my kidney removed, I used to try and play the Arsenal way, if you like, pass, get it back, pass, get it back. Use a lot of the ball and use a lot of space. But then I thought, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to win every tackle. And what I said to myself during those months of rehab, I'm going to play every game like it's my last, because one day I'm going to be right. And that for the rest of my career, I went out and played as if it was my last game, because one day I was going to be right. So that changed my game, and I think probably just over a year later I got moved to Rangers, and I think that was really based on me changing my dynamic in my game, and becoming a player that would run for 90 minutes. I would run in the last minutes, I would in the first, and that a lot of people, when they're watching games, they see that. They see somebody that makes an impression early in the game, and they see someone that makes an impression late in the game. So that was something I thought about. I need to change my game, and I need to, develop a kind of niche. So that was it was a turning point in one way where Jock Stein had said to me, I'm going to, get you into the home international squad, the full squad. Said you might not play, depends if we win a couple of games, you might get a chance. So he told me that all that, but then that was denying me. So I thought I need to do some other things to get back. So football, as I said to you, up and down. If I hadn't gone through the ups and downs at Arsenal and the education at Arsenal, then I may have crumbled and I may have said, that's it. That's my career over, desire that you need in the game.
And you mentioned that you seen on Scott Sport, was it Partick Thistle fullback's career was over. Did you ever believe that? Did you ever think there's one time that I'm never going to be able to come back from this?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. Once Bertie Auld came in, I was the captain of the team.
Yeah.
And it's a classic. He came into the ward and he said to me, Davey, I saw that last night. He said, lot of rubbish. You're going to come back and you're going to be my captain. I'll guarantee you. He says, in fact, he said, I've spoken to the chairman, a lovely guy called Miller Reid, who owned the Esquire House at Annisland. And I've spoken to the chairman and you're going to get some sun in your back. And I'm thinking, that's great. So I'm getting the brochures. It's October and I'm thinking, Barbados, maybe Tenerife, even that'll do me, right? So I arrived back and I was in the house about 10 minutes. The door went and I went to the door and this guy said to me, sunbed for Mr. MacKinnon. And that was it. So that was the sun in my back. But Bertie gave me that inspiration to come back that I was wanted. And also the surgeon came in and he said to me, look, he said, ignore that. He said, there's 10% of the population and they don't know it till something happens. He said, so that is something that you can go over. It'll take you time to recuperate. He said, but I was down to 9 stone. I was away. So he said, you need to build up your strength, etc., etc. So so that came back, and then when I got home, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I came home and I got a lot of support. There was a famous Real Madrid player called Santillana, a centre forward, who was playing in Real Madrid, and I actually got a letter from him to say to me that he had a kidney removed when he was a kid, and he could continue to play. So all this kind of stuff, gave me the desire to get back. And there was never once that I thought I wouldn't come back and play.
Then moving on to something a bit more positive, you get the big move to Rangers in the summer of 1982, where he went on to make 168 appearances for the club. So how did that come about, the move?
Well, what's happened was I'd gone back and played for Thistle, and they'd a change of manager. And this manager had said to me, look, if you can get a move, we'll not stand in your way. I thought, okay, right. So in those days, the newspapers used to say, we hear that Dave MacKinnon, can leave Partick Thistle. They wanted money for me, of course. And they said to me, look, if we can get 30 grand for you, and 30 grand was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah.
He said, we'll let you go. 3 offers. One from St Mirren. Ricky McFarlane was the manager, lovely guy, asked me to go into St Mirren. Howard Kendall, the late Howard Kendall, was building a team at Everton, and he said to me, I want you to come and play at Everton. He says, I'm building a team here. And I think he did build a team, and I think a year or so, or 2 years later, they had, I think they won European honours. So I thought, that's it. And I'd always a desire to go back to England because it was unfinished business for me. And but then I was at home, and the door bell goes, and it was Davy Provan, the ex-Rangers left back, who was assistant manager for John Gregg.
Yeah. And
he came in, they said, and Davy had done some work at Thistle, and he said to me, listen, manager wants you to come up, we're interested in you. And I thought, right. So I thought, right, okay, and you had no perception of what money in those days. I'd been offered a significant signing on fee by Everton and a significant wage by Everton, playing the English, was the Premier League now, it was the first division then. And I phoned my dad and I said, look, because he had said to me, no, that's a great move, go to Everton. And then I phoned him and I said, look, John Gregg's asked me to come up to sign at Rangers. And he said, if you don't sign, he said, I'm never speaking to you again in my life. So I thought, that's great. And, I'd been brought up a Rangers supporter, and my dad was staunch Rangers supporter and things. So going up to Ibrox was great. John Gregg was a guy I'd really admired as a player, and a really decent man. Wonderful guy, John Gregg, and the best coach that I've ever been coached by. And John took me into his office and was asking me, he says, oh, here, Everton's interested, what they offering? And I told him, and he said, that's 3 times what I'm going to offer you. And I went, oh, well, can you make it up with a signing on fee? Oh, I don't know, are they paying you a signing on fee? And I told him the signing on fee, and he went like that. He said, I hear you're a Rangers guy. And I said, well, I used to come. He said, right, let's come. So he took me into the trophy room. They just won the League Cup, brought out the League Cup, got the club photographer to come and take me a photograph of me with the League Cup. He said, just come down to the dressing room. And I sat down to the dressing room, saw the dressing rooms. I'd only been in the away dressing room, and showed me the dressing rooms. And he said, listen, by the way, he said, I'm going out for a wee run. So he was kidding me on, of course, but he said, put that gear on. So I put the gear on, and then photographs again. So I've got a photograph of me in a Rangers strip before I'd signed, right? And then he said, where did you used to stand? I said, well, opposite the tunnel. And he went, all right. He said, by the way, he said, see when you came out for a Rangers Celtic game in particular, the hairs in the back of your head stand up. He says, it's the best experience you've ever experienced in your life. So we go over to the other side, and he says, can you just imagine coming out onto that park? So I'm back in, I said, gives the pen. So I signed, and that was it. And it was a great move for me. Particularly staying in Scotland, you either play for Rangers or you play for Celtic. And if I'd have gone to Everton, it'd have been a different situation. Who knows what would have happened? But I signed for Rangers, and that was a great experience for me, because when I went into the Rangers team, it was magnificent for me, because it was like going back to Arsenal. Because at Arsenal, you were playing with so many good players. Partick Thistle had some great players, as I said, but when you make that step up, as soon as you get the ball, you look up and you've got 6 or 7 players all wanting the ball. And for me, all I would do was knock it in, get it back, knock it in again, run. I had energy, I could run all day, get into the opposing half and cross the ball, and that was me made. And when I went to Rangers, when I get the ball, John Gregg was great. As I say, a great coach, and what he said, his style of play was get the goalkeeper Jim Stewart to roll out to the fullbacks. So Ali Dawson was on one side, I was on the other side at right back, and we get the ball rolled out to us. So I'd get the ball and look up. And when I played with other team, you'd probably just knock it into the channel and try and support it. But I'd look up and I'd Davy Cooper looking for the ball, Bobby Russell looking for the ball, Robert Pritz looking for the ball, Jim Bett looking for the ball, John McClellan looking for the ball, John McDonald coming off looking for the ball, Derek Johnson as a ball up front. It was unbelievable. Ian Redford looking for the ball. So everybody looked for the ball. So it was great, and for me, it was the easiest time in my career, because all I got was get the ball, play it, get it back, play it. And particularly in Europe, when we played in Europe, we were magnificent. There's a game someone said to me that's been uploaded recently to YouTube, and it's 1982, and it's Rangers against Borussia Dortmund at Ibrox. We'd been to the Westfalen and drew 0-0 because of John Gregg's wonderful tactics. And we came back and we beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0. And it was probably the game of my career, because all I did was get the ball and go forward, tackle, you know, get the ball. The fans loved it because it was such a great momentum. And that's what Rangers were. I think we'd beaten Aberdeen on the Saturday 2-1 up at Pittodrie. Rangers had not won at Pittodrie for a number of years. And I think we'd gone 17 games unbeaten. I don't know where we were in the league, but they were saying this is the best Rangers team in a generation. And I thought, this is great. Scotland again, and I was thinking, this was it. We then went to beat FC Cologne at home 2-1 in Europe, and then lost 5-0. And when we come back to the league game on the Saturday, I get the ball for the goalkeeper and I look up and nobody's won it because the confidence just disappeared. And the confidence went out of the team, and confidence was huge. And these were so great players, wonderful players, but they lost a wee bit of momentum. And that was, for me, that was sad, because we then had probably 6 or 7 injuries of that team, and that kind of knocked us. We lost Craig Patterson, myself, I got injured at Aberdeen, was out for 6 weeks. I think we lost Jim Bett, I think Coop was out. So we started to lose a lot of players from the squad, and the squad had some really good young players coming through. But they didn't remain or contain that momentum. So that was a time where, you know, I think it was a difficult time for Rangers and for the players, because we knew we'd actually got something, and the fans were starting to believe they would come back in their numbers. But that's football, to be honest. It's got so many ups and downs, and you can't rely. You know, if you get into a position as a footballer and you think, this is it, we've arrived, then somebody's going to slap you in the face, and that's what happened with that team.
So you obviously speak very fondly of your time at Rangers, but do you have a favourite memory or a favourite story at all about your time at Rangers, if you can pick one?
Well, I think the thing is, like, you know, I had 3 managers there, and you know, John Gregg. I felt very sad when John Gregg left the club, because as well as being a wonderful man, he was, as I said, he was a great coach. But I think there was a lot of Rangers went through a kind of a period where the board was a bit unsettled. There was a bit of backstabbing going on, and that was filtering down to the players, and it wasn't great. Jock Wallace came in, and again started incredibly well. And again, Jock Wallace was a guy that I admired significantly. A great personality and a great motivator. He came into the dressing room. I remember the first day he came in, and he had an Evening Times column, you know, and I remember him writing about Dave MacKinnon epitomises what a Rangers player should be: someone with heart and desire and would run through a brick wall. And it's no surprise. And I thought, this is great. So I'm thinking, goodness sake, I'm Jock's wonder boy. So the first day he came into training, he's in the dressing room, and all the players are sitting, and I was getting a bit of stick there. Yeah, that's your Jock's son, you know, he's got, you know, you love bites all over you and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, right, so he pulled me out. He obviously realised this, pulled me out, grabbed me around the neck. And he said to me, he says, MacKinnon, he said, too tippy-tappy. I said, what? He said, you take too many touches. I said, well, that's the way I've been brought up. I don't care. I want you to take 2 touches, one to control it and one to whack it up. Well, he didn't say whack. You can imagine what he said. Up to big DJ. I was like, so everybody's looking at him, and he's grabbed me around the neck, and I thought, I wonder if I should say something here. So I said, I can't do that. He went, what? And he started grabbing me tighter. I thought, I'm getting blown here. He said, what do you mean you can't do that? I said, I need 3 touches, 2 to control it and 1 to whack it up to big DJ. So that was a kind of thing with Jock Wallace, and you know, another magnificent man. And just again, when I was getting into his thought process and into his teams, I get illness, believe it or not. I had you know, a severe illness that kept me out for 6 weeks. It was hepatitis A. And what happened was, we played against Aberdeen up at Pittodrie, and we stayed at a hotel in Aberdeen, just in the outskirts of Aberdeen. There was an outbreak of hepatitis A. And what it was that, you know, it was people eating eggs, and stupidly I decided to have eggs for my pre-match. That was the only one, and I got hepatitis, and it just demolished from being on the cusp against something great with Rangers from December, and I think I came back and played again. I was out for 4 or 5 months, and at that time the club decided to keep it quiet. You know, everybody's saying, why is Dave MacKinnon not playing? Oh, he's got an injury. And I thought, you know, and I had to sit at home, but it gave the esteem of the man, you know, of the talent of Jock Wallace as a guy. He used to phone me. There was no mobiles in those days. It was obviously landlines. And he used to phone me every Saturday night after the game, home or away. The phone would go whenever it was. If it was like a home game, it'd be 6 o'clock. If it was an away game, it may be 7:30 when they had a few whiskies in them. And he used to phone me up and say, "Hey, Skippy," that was my nickname at Rangers. "Hey, Skippy, here's what happened today, son." And he used to talk through the game to me. "You'll be back." And it was a bit like Bertie Auld, you know, that motivation that you're going to come back. And that was for me, being isolated, you know, being obviously COVID-19's been a new experience for everyone, being isolated and, you know, being in your own and being housebound. But for me, for 5 months, that was I couldn't go out. You know, I was surviving in rice. You know, you couldn't eat fat because of your liver, the potential damage to your liver. So that was something that gave me, again, my inner strength got me through that, and I get back into the Rangers team again. But you know, there's something about being a magnificent man manager that Jock Wallace was. He used to phone me up every Saturday, and you know, that's the kind of things in football that people don't realise, that you, as a player, if you're not playing, you need that support, and that he was wise enough to realise that.
And then towards the end of your Rangers career, Graham Souness is announced player manager. What were your first thoughts when you heard that Graham Souness would be joining the club?
Well, I was delighted, but I think that there was a strange situation for me at Rangers, that I'd got a cartilage operation, and Jock was the manager. And as Jock would do, I think it was probably 10 days, maybe less, after my cartilage operation. I'm on the treatment table on a Friday, and he comes in and he said, "Oh, you know, we've had a few injuries at training the Friday." So he said to me, "You fit for tomorrow?" I said, "I've just had a cartilage operation." He went, "All right, okay, but you'll play for the jersey, won't you?" Because he used to say to me, "I always played for the jersey."
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I want you to start centre half tomorrow against Celtic."
Oh my God.
And I said, "Right." So I said to the physio, "What do you think?" He said, "You've got no chance. You've got no chance." And I thought, "I'm going to play." So he said to me, "I want you to play." And I said, "Right, okay." And I played. And in the first minute, it was again, it's a great film if you're on YouTube. It's Rangers 4, Celtic 4, and it was torrential rain. And I went out in the first minute, headed the ball, and Mo Johnson, who had also been my teammate at Partick Thistle, came in, done my cartilage again, the other side. But I played for 90 minutes, scored a header to make it 4-3. It hit off Cammy Fraser's back. The Rangers News gave it to me. So in VAR, I was told that VAR's been done and it was over the line, so it's my goal. And that was 4-3. And then we were going crazy. And then my cousin, who's Murdo MacLeod, that played with Celtic, Murdo mishit one for 30 yards in the top corner, and it became 4-4. And so that was the kind of thing. And it was the most surreal game, that both sets of supporters stood and clapped both teams off the park. It was an incredible situation, something that I don't think would ever happen now. But these are the kind of things. So anyway, Jock got the sack, I think a week later. Graham Souness came in, and he said to me, "Dave," he said, "I know all about your knee." He said, "What I want you to do is," he said, "but we need to get into Europe. And so I need you to play centre midfield I want 2 young boys either side, Derek Ferguson and Ian Durant. I want you to coach them through the game. So I'm 29, know the game inside out, know how to coach players. I'd been captain of Rangers, been captain of Partick Thistle, captain of every club I'd been at. So I knew how to deal with young players. So I coached them through the games. And we beat Motherwell last game of the season 2-0 to qualify for Europe. So mission accomplished. I then get called into Ibrox. We were playing Celtic in the Glasgow Cup final at Ibrox, and the Glasgow Cup final then was a huge thing.
Yeah.
It was 50,000 plus that would come to it. We were playing Celtic at Glasgow Cup final at Ibrox. The manager, he calls me in before we get stripped, and they said, I want you to play centre midfield again, just help the guys through it and all that. Right, okay. He says, and by the way, he said, I'm going to call the doc in. So the doctor came in. And I said, oh, what's that? I said, am I getting my operation to clear out my knee again? And he said, oh. So the doc says, Dave, he said, I've had a look at some ultrasounds. He said, your knee's not in a good shape. I said, no, I know that. I said, but we'll get it sorted. And Graham said, nah. Davey said, I can't take a chance. So I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not going to renew your contract. So I was like, oh, what? I said, I've put my body in the line, and that's what happens to me. So that's what happened. And he then said to me, and I got on great with Graham. His training was great, and he had a great philosophy about how to play the game. And I wanted to be part of it. But he said to me, do you want to play tonight? After that news, I said, of course I do. So I played against Celtic. McCoy scored 3. I set up 3 of them. So I was always around them. And I had the game of my life because I knew it was my last game.
Yeah.
Rangers don't want to go off the park. We beat Celtic 3-2. Everybody's going crazy, and I don't want to go off the park. And so eventually I go off the park into the dressing room. Graham goes in the middle and he says, you had a wonderful game, Dave. He said, just to let you know, everybody, that's his last game. And they were like, what? He's leaving us. So I'm thinking, goodness. So that was the end of my career at Rangers. I went and got my boots. I wore the number 4 jersey that night, and I went to get it. And my last tackle for Rangers was against the physiotherapist, because I'm going along the corridor with my boots, my jersey, and he's pulling one sleeve and I'm pulling the other. So I just decided I'm going to kick him a wee place, and I got the jersey and walked out, and that was me. So that was my career, and I thought that was surreal. So anyway, I'd been offers to go to other clubs, but I decided, my knee was in such a place that I had to go part-time, and I moved into business at that stage. So that was the kind of the eye-opener for me. But it was an interesting thing. I'd been at Arsenal early in my career, and Rangers were the equivalent of Arsenal. The marble floors, the wall panels, really looking after players and all that kind of thing. So it was a great experience, and when I thought back, should have gone to Everton, but no, it was the right move for me at the time.
So you've mentioned that you've played with some Rangers legends such as Ali McCoy, Davy Cooper, but I always ask the same question to every guest we have on, that if they could make an ultimate 5-a-side team of the best 5 players in positions that they've played with in their career, who would make you a 5-a-side team?
Well, that's a difficult one, because 5-a-side, you want somebody that's able to play at that kind of different stature. But Davy Cooper for me was magnificent.
Yep.
At Rangers, Gordon Strachan. Yep. At Dundee was magnificent. I was fortunate enough to play in the same team as Alan Ball at Arsenal. Now, Liam Brady was a great player, whom I might have got in the team, but Alan Ball for me was magnificent as a player. Alan Ball, not liked by Scottish players, but he really looked after me at Arsenal. And Alan Ball was better me a lot in my career. So we've got Davy Cooper, Gordon Strachan, Alan Ball, and he had a striker, so McCoist would have to sneak in.
Yeah.
My claim to fame, or his claim to fame, was I put the ball in a plate for him to score his first goal against Celtic, which I always remind him of.
So, you made his career then.
Well, that's it. So that, and obviously you need a goalkeeper. So there was some really good goalkeepers that I played with in my career. Good goalkeepers at Rangers. There was good goalkeepers at Arsenal. A guy called Bob Wilson, who was a Scotland international, who I played with, and also good players later on in my career. So I think probably you need a good goalkeeper, and I think Bob Wilson at Arsenal. So that's not a bad wee team. And I'm on the bench should any of them get injured. But that's the kind of I think that kind of team would work well. Lots of tricky players, use the ball well, and a striker that eventually started to know where the goal was after some false starts.
And you mentioned that you had to go part-time after leaving Rangers due to your knee and stuff. But then once you finished playing, you took a different route to what most players do when they finish. Usually kind of go for the player, coach, manager cycle. But you wanted to move upstairs, and you've taken on roles as general manager, as directors, as CEO now at Morton. Was this always an ambition of yours to do something like that?
No, I think that when I went part-time with Airdrie, and I had 3 good years at Airdrie, then went to Kilmarnock, really good. With Tommy Burns, we started to move him up the league, and then, came out of retirement to play at Forfar. So I got another, 6 years at it. But I had to go part-time, and I started working with tenants in Bath, as an area manager. And they were the best company in the world to work for because they gave you an incredible education. I was there for 12 years and knew every aspect of business. I went back to, I hadn't been to university, but Arsenal said to me, you need to go to university if you want to progress up. So I went and did a part-time business degree at Paisley University, and whilst I was still playing. So I was training 2 nights a week and going to classes 2 nights a week for 4 years. But that gave me a huge education in business. So I then was headhunted by Scottish Brewers to go and work and lead up as ops director at Scotland's biggest independent pub retailer at that time. And I went there and had shares in the company, and we sold it for 21 million. And I thought, what do I do now? There was a lot of debt, mind you, but we still made a reasonable amount of money. Yeah. And really good people I worked with. A guy, Bob Brannan, who was at Rangers as chief executive for a short time, and who was the chairman at Dundee. Lovely guy who knew the business inside out. So again, that was a great education. So I was, after that, I was in a position where I knew the football business inside, and I knew business inside. I was ops director, as I say, for the pub company, 800 employees, and I ran the business. So I knew how to run businesses. And then I thought, what do I do? So I'd always a notion to write a book. So I wrote a book. I took a year or so out, travelled the world a wee bit. And then I got an offer to go back into football. So I went to Clyde as the commercial director. Really enjoyed it. I thought, this is something I want to get back. Association with football was that I'd worked with the BBC doing commentaries and summarising for a number of years. And I wanted football back in my life. I then was asked to go and be the general manager at Kilmarnock, a team that I'd been the captain of, and scored a penalty to get them promoted. 6 minutes to go, they need to win. Captain steps up and slots it home. If I'd have missed it, I would never have gone back as the general manager. And that was great because I've got a great sort of theory and you know, sort of ethos is the fact is that you have to understand the language of the dressing room, and you also have to understand the language of the boardroom, because they're totally different.
Yeah.
The boardroom's strategic and you're planning 2 or 3 years ahead. The dressing room is, first, we want the game, we want one Saturday, we need to do this, we need to do that. So it's very much short term. So you need to align the two, because, you know, I've worked with some clubs where the board don't quite understand the dressing room and the dressing room don't quite understand the board. I'm in the middle to coordinate it and bring it together. The managers, I need to work with the managers. You know, budgets are hugely you know, an issue at clubs, and you know, when you look at lower budgets with clubs, some managers, you know, basically understand it and some don't. So you need to work with the managers. And I worked at Kilmarnock, where I worked with a wonderful manager, Jim Jeffries.
Yeah.
And when I went there, the first thing that the bank said was, and the chairman said to me, is, "We need to take £1 million off the playing budget." So I went to Jim, and he was like, you know, he was a bit exact. But we worked together because he said to me, "You're a football guy and you understand it." So we had to make decisions based on football rather than business. So that's what I've always done. I've always, you know, been able to marry the two. So I went there, then I went to Dundee after they'd come out of administration the first time, to get them back on track. And again, it was a rebuilding job. Worked with Bob Brannan again, who was, you know, worked with the pub company. He was the chairman there. Peter Marr, who was the owner at the time. Great people, lovely people. And as I say, that was my association back at Dundee again. So I think that's how it operates. You have to understand, you know, the business of both. And I think that, you know, there's been a lot of turmoil with Scottish football over the last few months. Because I understand the football side, it allows me to think, how would I marry up the business and the football side, and make, you know, to bring them together and actually make decisions based on that. Because I think a lot of decisions now are, you know, there's a lot of people in football that know the game. There's a lot of people in football that don't know the game, and they think, you know, being a good businessman breeds success. Doesn't happen. No. So I think that's what I've done. And as I say, I was at Hamilton for 5 years as a director with, you know, some great people, Les Gray, Ronnie McDonald, the owner, Alan Maitland, far too many to mention, but really top people that know football. And that was great for me. I really enjoyed that part of it again. And then obviously I'm back down at Morton, again, a rebuilding job to get back on track again.
So, as you said, you're now at Greenock Mortons. So, as that's a current role, I would like to know, if you're all right in answering this, what impact COVID-19 has had on the football club, and how Greenock Morton Football Club can come back stronger from this.
Well, I think it has. I think that, you know, on March the 13th, when the SFA suspended the game, it was pretty traumatic for everybody. We had a full house. We thought, you know, significant amount of fans going to come in, full house and hospitality, and we were gearing up for a decent crowd, 2,500, 3,000, which was more than our average. And we then were told the game was stopped. You know, we weren't able to play. So to deal with that, with players, with the management team, with the staff, with the fans, it was pretty traumatic. It was very clear early on that this just wasn't going to be for a week or so. It was going to be longer term. So we had to plan, we had to furlough staff, when furlough came in. So I've been working at the club on my own for 100 and odd days. And it's been a bit, you know, the buck stops at me a wee bit. And it's been a wee bit of something that I've had to, again, drag that inner spirit, because, you know, getting to the club 2 or 3 days a week, I work 7 days a week, you know, lots of hours, because there's lots of jobs to do, there's lots of planning, there's logistical things, there's a lot of things to try and keep the club together. So it's been an education. I'm writing a book on it, because I think I need to get this unique experience down, because there's some things happened that I would never ever thought of.
When's that going to be out? Give that a little plug. Go on.
Well, I don't know, because I'll need to finish it first, because we work so many hours, I don't have a lot of time to do it. But it's good. I mean, surreal things that you wouldn't imagine happens. You know, as I say, going a couple of times for various things. You know, make sure that nobody's broken in, that there's no floods. There's been lots of floods, and there's been a lot of things I've had to do. I went in last week, and a fox had got into the stadium inside. So I'm like, oh, goodness sake. And I've heard a fox in the box, but no, it wasn't the director's box. So I had to get RSPCA in. So these are the kind of things that happen. But Morton have got a wonderful support from a wonderful family, the Ray family, who are the owners. Douglas Ray was the owner. Douglas sadly died. I knew Douglas very well, and his son's Crawford's taken over. And without the support of the Ray family and his business, the Golden Casket Group, who make sweets, then the club would be in a bit of a problem, because although we've got, we've basically closed the place. There's not a lot of expenditure. We've got furlough expenses, etc. But without, when you come out of that, without the support of the Ray family, then that would have been difficult for Great Morton. So we're in a relatively okay position. But the big test is going to be when we come back and have to play in front of no crowds. I've been working a lot on the streaming services to make sure that we're fit for purpose for doing that. I believe that there's a lot of commercial revenue that will come from this. There's a lot of clubs that don't think that, but I'm an optimist, and we're going to do it right. So I think that it's been pretty traumatic over the last 3 or 4 months. I think we've got some major hurdles to get back on track. I hope that we continue in Scotland to adhere to the messages that the government are telling us about COVID, because I would hate to come back for a second for another spike, because it's difficult for families. We as a club have had deaths from ex-players, from really prominent supporters, and through COVID, and that's we have to deal with that, and disappointing to deal with that. We've had a lot of support to local charities on supplying food to families, and it must be, I'm working away, and sometimes I moan about it, because your day stretches from whenever it is to whenever it is. 7 days you're always on, whether it's an SPFL thing, whether it's a club thing you have to deal with, club licensing, make sure we've got the safety certificate, and we used to have people who would help us in that, but the ball stops at me. But when it's down to the thing about people that I've known and respected dying of this illness, about poor families out in every area of Scotland that are staying in maybe high-rise flats, or in flats that they can't get out. They've got kids that are that are need entertained. How is that? How difficult is that? Mental health is hugely important. I can't start to imagine what people are going through with this kind of thing that they have to deal with. So, I count my blessings every day. I look out here, I've got, I live in Gourock, I've got the Holy Loch and Loch Long, uninterrupted views. I've got a garden I can sit in. I've got a really strong home life. So these are all the good things for me, but I'm acutely aware that there's a lot of people out there struggling with this, and I really empathise with them. But we as a club at Morton, it's a huge community club. There's a lot of things that we do in the community, and the quicker we get back to supporting the community through our community trust, the better. So I think that we'll start to get players back maybe mid-August, because we're looking at an October start.
Yeah.
They'll have to. So there's a lot of things to get, in. So I've been working in that. So it's never been a dull moment, but it's been really hands-on. So to be honest, I said to somebody asked me what my coping mechanism is through all this, and it is going into Morton and seeing these empty terraces that are covered in weeds just now, and it's seeing fans back in, because I think fans will come back in and start to realise that, not just football, but life's important. And I think a lot of people come back with a different attitude with this. So that's what I hope, anyway.
Now, moving on to the final section of the interview is the Youth Football Scotland Quickfire Quiz, where you're going to be asked a series of questions. You're going to be asked a series of questions about your career or clubs associated with your career. There's going to be 1 minute on the clock. You've got to answer as many as you can. The current leader is Kevin Thompson, who also used to play Rangers. He's got a score of 8. Do you think you can beat that?
No.
We'll go for it anyway, right? Are we ready?
Yes.
1 minute starting now. How old were you on your Rangers debut?
26.
How much did Partick Thistle sign you for from Dundee?
18,500.
You scored on the final day of the season to win Kelly promotion out of Division 2, but who was it against?
Cowdenbeath.
Who was your Scottish League 11 manager for your one cap?
Jockstein.
How many competitive career goals have you scored?
6.
In which month and year were you appointed CEO of Greenock Morton Football Club?
May 2019.
Where did Morton finish in the league this year?
7th.
How many appearances did you make in your first season at Rangers?
42.
Who was your first team manager when you joined Arsenal in 1972?
Bertie Mee.
Which league did Airdrie play in?
League 1.
And that's the minute just there. Let's count that up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're tied leader with Kevin Thompson.
I want a rematch. Goes to penalties.
Anyway,
that's been great, Adam. I really appreciate that. And obviously, I think that these kind of communications are great. I think, and I wish you every success, because I think you've got a great career ahead of you.
Thank you very much.
I think it's important to have these things, and it's been a great pleasure for me.
Pleasure's all mine. Honestly, it's been amazing to hear some of your stories, and I'm sure everyone else will be interested to hear them as well. So I can't thank you enough for coming.
Well, just to let you know, this isn't Kenny Rogers. This is Corona Beard. I decided we had to grow a beard and to offer charity, but I've had a couple of offers to go and do a Kenny Rogers tribute tour. So I'll maybe keep it on and just make a donation to charity. So.
Keep the money from the beard growing and sign a couple of players for Morton next season.
Listen, by the way, this beard could probably buy about 6 or 7. So, good. No, we're in a good place. I think the thing is, I've got a great manager in Davy Hopkin.
Yeah.
One of the best coaches that I've seen. Great motivator of players. We've got a really, really low budget, and that's fine. We operate with a low budget, one of the lowest in the division, but we've got a heart in here of us all. So I would be hopeful that we would kick on this season.
The SPL in 5 years' time, then.
Well, it's 3 years, I would say, but I think the thing
3 years.
I think the turn of the year we'd great form. We brought in players that were young. We're taught the game. We've got some great assets, and I think we would have ended up in the playoffs to be realistic about it. But I think it's going to be a rebuilding job again, because there's not a lot of money out there. I'm waiting for the budget. I'll get the budget this week, so that'll be crackerjack for me. And we'll be wherever we'll be, because I think that. As I say, we've got a great coach and manager in Davy Hopkin. and a lot of faith in them. So we you know, as a club, Morton have been out the top league for 30 odd years.
Yeah.
So it's time to get back in. So that would be maybe come back in a couple of years, and that would be your quiz question, you know, for you. So.
Well, if you're needing a centre mid next season, you've got my phone number.
Good. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, we don't pay a lot. That's the only thing.
That's all right. I can make the jump from Sunday amateurs to Championship. Not a problem.
Well, that's it. That's it. All right. Brilliant. Superb.
Thank you very much for that,
Listen,
Dave.
You take care and all the very best, Adam. All the best.
You too. Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Bye.
Cheers.